Welcome back to the video on my YouTube channel, and today we're going to talk about a new tool called KubeSphere. Now, as you can see, KubeSphere is a distributed operating system, as it mentions on the website, for cloud native application management. Now, as the definition suggests, it has something to do with cloud native management, and if you're new to this world, you can check out my DevOps Bootcamp playlist, and it will get you up and running with all things cloud native. I've covered so many tools there and all the prerequisites and everything. Right, so this the KubeSphere, the platform KubeSphere is it's like a one-stop, like full stack solution. And when we're talking about Kubernetes, so you can see that it's using K8's Kubernetes as its kernel, and it provides a plug and play architecture, allowing third-party applications to be seamlessly integrated in the ecosystem, as we'll see later on when we look at monitoring, for example, or CI/CD, for example. So it integrates all of these other applications as well. You may be asking me, Kunal, that's fine. We get what it does. We get a hint of it. It's good for like your cloud native, application management. That's fine. But what is it? Like, what is it actually doing? So Kubernetes is extremely powerful, and it can definitely bring in some difficulties when it comes to using it in practice, and that is where KubeSphere comes in. Right, so the KubeSphere basically will make your life easier when it comes to managing Kubernetes. And if we check out what all things it has to offer when we talk about these solutions, so these are just like a little bit more information about KubeSphere itself. It has rich features and open source and all these other things. It's in the CNCF landscape as well. You can check it out. But let's talk about what it has to offer. So here you can see for infrastructure teams and developers and ops teams how it can help end users as well, right? This is what I wanted to mention. So the key features of the Kubernetes platform. So here you can see that for the DevOps system, it provides out-of-the-box CI/CD solutions. For service mesh, Istio-based, it provides that as well. And for observability as well, you can see it has support inbuilt for that, so on and so forth. Even for edge computing, metering and billing, and multi-cluster management, which is actually, spoiler alert, the next video we'll be doing is Kubernetes multi-cluster management using KubeSphere. It's a pretty great feature that KubeSphere has to offer, and we'll be seeing that with we'll be spinning up a few clusters in Civo, and we'll be seeing how we can use multi-cluster management in that. Cool. So you can see it helps you to provision Kubernetes and resource management, so on and so forth, right? Cool. And one more thing I wanted to mention, we go back to this particular section, which is how it's benefiting the infra team, right? So you can improve your resource utilization and reduce internal infrastructure costs. So you can utilize the resources that you're using, and security enhancements, so on and so forth. It also supports like multi-cloud and multi-cluster Kubernetes management. So for avoiding vendor locking. It says that it's coming soon, but we'll be definitely looking into multi-cluster Kubernetes management in the next video. Right, in this video what we're going to do is, as we're looking into the features, we'll be seeing how you can get started with it in your own like local cluster. So I'll just run an example for, let's say, Minikube. I'll show you how to work with it in Minikube, and then in this video itself I'll show you how you can install KubeSphere in cloud. So for example, Civo or whatever cloud that you're using. We'll be seeing how you can do that in this video itself. So make sure you check it out. Cool. And for developers, you can see that most of the times when you're deploying to K8s, you may not have time to work with the jargon of YAML files. There's so many startups coming out that are working more on the developer part, developer focused part of the DevOps lifecycle. So if you don't want to deal with all the complicated YAML files and just want to focus on your application for your business, KubeSphere will help you in that as well, because it provides a very rich UI via which you can without going through that steep learning curve for the cloud native stack, you can deploy the cloud native applications without knowing about the prerequisites. So if you're a developer, you want to get started with cloud native and stuff in a relatively easy way, definitely check out KubeSphere. Right, it does it because of the out of the box offerings that I showed you previously, and we'll see a little bit of like an example of this as well. For the ops team, as you can see, a centralized platform for the collection of your metrics and your logs and alertings and events and all these other things. And when we talk about like CI/CD, it also has a streamlined process for that. A little bit of the spoiler alert, you can do it just via the UI, the KubeSphere UI, which I'll show you in this video. Cool. And for end users as well, it's mentioned over here, right? So let's get started with it. I have a Minikube cluster running, which is pretty empty. Okay, just the main Kubernetes service running. That's it. Nothing else is running over here. So I'll show you two installation processes I mentioned previously. One on your own local cluster, and or in your own like Linux, for example, you can follow that tutorial as well. And then I'll show you next with a cloud provider. Okay, so I have Minikube running here, and just to visualize things, I'll connect it with Lens, and here you can see my standard storage is here, and the default storage is available. So this is one of the prerequisites. A default storage class in your Kubernetes cluster needs to be configured before installation, and make sure your CPU is more than one core, and I think more than 2 GB of memory is required, right? I think Minikube is fine for that. I'm running like 2 cores and something. Okay, and this is just some standard namespace. If I check out the default namespace, it's currently empty. And what else? Yeah, that's pretty much about it. And also for like the KubeSphere version 3.2.1 on Kubernetes, since we're deploying it on Kubernetes, make sure your Kubernetes version is version 1.19 or like 1.20, 1.21, or yeah, something like that. Cool. But more about like the prerequisites, and because these things keep changing, these are very experimental. Highly recommend you to check out the documentation. All right, so let's get started with it. What we're going to do right now is, first of all, we're going to after we make sure that the machines that we have configured meets our requirements, we're going to run the following kubectl command. I think this is the one, configuration, cluster configuration. No, first I have to do KubeSphere configuration. This is the file, KubeSphere installer.yaml. That's it. This is going to install, the installer has some objects being created. So as you can see, a namespace has been created, a service account has been created, RBAC has been created, and deployment has been created as well, KAS installer. So if I just go over here, I go to KubeSphere system, so you can see one deployment is created, and one replica set is here, one pod is available over here. This namespace was created, KubeSphere system, that's fine. All right, sounds good. Cool. And this is running, that's fine. And now we need to do the same thing for the cluster configuration. So once KubeSphere is installed, here it's running in my objects, I can do the cluster configuration. If you want to see what these files have in it, you can obviously go over there as well. You can download these files. Okay. So here you can see pretty much the same thing. It has a custom resource definition, a namespace, a service account, and a deployment. Same thing we saw in the dashboard over here and in the output over here. So here you can see that this has also been created. Okay, so after the after KubeSphere has been successfully installed by running those two commands, I showed you the file as well, what it's actually creating, what type of objects it's creating. You can actually like check out the logs as well using this command over here. So I'm just saying get pod in this namespace, and I'm adding some tags over here, and this will basically show me all the real-time like logs, how it's happening right now, because this is going to take some time to to work with it. And you can also do something like this. You can also see whether all the pods are running normally or not. Get all, sorry, not get all, get pod in the namespace or let's just do all namespaces, no problem. So these are running, that's fine. Okay, so our pods are running fine, no problem over there. But right now we are working with so you can see, I'll just zoom out a little bit. This is currently in progress. Okay, so you can see it's updating. So this is going to take some time to get this thing up and running. And after that, once that has been done, so you can see it's setting up something like Redis and Minio, and the layer of abstraction that has been provided over here, right? It's using so many things internally. It's working on it for you, and that's why I ran this command where you can see these real-time logs. Once this is completed, we will be able to access the dashboard. Okay, so it's creating the manifest, as you can see, doing a bunch of things. So let that happen, and we'll come back when this thing is completed. Okay, so as you can see, all the tasks here have been completed, and it started a few like services like monitoring, multi-cluster and stuff. Let's see what all things it had, created for us. So if I just go to all namespaces, we have a bunch of pods running over here. We have a bunch of deployments, all sorts of things have been running. If I go to the services, so basically it may have created a service for our like console. One second. If I go to network services, so here we have KS console, right? So this one is basically for us to access the KubeSphere console. Now, one thing I want to mention over here is that all these pods that we have running, right? So KubeSphere expects us to have like a few ports open. So for example, if you want to access this, you may have to open like port 30880. So using a firewall, you can go to the KubeSphere documentation that you can find the link to it in the description below. And there you can check out all the ports that it requires for us to be open. I'm just going to do a simple port forward. And there we go. We have it running in our local Minikube Kubernetes cluster. Admin is the password, and I believe the by default password is p@88w0rd. I believe that is the by default password. Login, not now. And then it's going to obviously require you to, since you're logging in for the first time, please make sure you change your password. I'm going to do it later on just for the demo purpose. And there we have it. Here we have our console. So now you can check the status of various components. You can go into the, over here you can check out the platform. You can see cluster management, access control, platform settings. Cluster management is something that we'll see definitely in the next video. We'll be seeing multi-cluster management. Access control you can check out over here. So you can give access to various like users. I am the admin, for example. You can create a new role. I can say tester or something. I can just give my Civo email, for example, and I can give some platform role. So you can see manage all users on the Kubernetes platform, or manage all, let's say, just resources. I can give some random password, something like that. Okay, there you go. Tester, not logged in yet. They would have to log in on their own. You can get like it in the email, right? Delete that, no problem. Just some random I just showed you. Okay, cool. And there you can see they have the workspace and the platform like roles that are like these are like the predefined roles for your Kubernetes KubeSphere platform. You can create your own roles as well. Okay, and in the next step you can see you can edit permissions for this role as well. If you just go to I say my role, so now I can add permissions, platform settings, access control, cluster management, right, so on and so forth. So you can either manage cluster viewing as well, right? Cool. We'll talk more about that later. I just go to the platform and cluster management. Here I can check out my system components. So maybe you need to wait for some of the system components to be up and running if you want to use like some related services. So as you can see, I have the KS console in KubeSphere, API server, and controller manager. That's correct. I have it like somewhere here as well. Controls and system and all these other things. In Kubernetes, here you can say obviously kubedns and scheduler and the control manager service. That's fine, pretty standard stuff. If you don't know already about this, check out my Kubernetes video. And for monitoring, I have the Prometheus K3s. It's showing me a warning. We'll check out what that's all about, right? So it's showing some like warning over here that all the status, like a pod is failing or container is not ready or whatever. It's showing some warning. So that is basically what I meant. It has all of these things inbuilt. How cool is that, right? And we talk about like workloads you can check out, pods you can check out, services you can check out, so many things. And then configuration you can check out secrets, config maps. You can check out the storage. I think this is pretty cool, right? Awesome. Right, and this is sort of like the overview. I just spun it up, right? Took me just like a little bit, so that's why I have it like showing pretty empty right now. But as the time moves forward, it will show you some stuff. All right, I'm gonna keep this running for a while, and in the next video, so that we have some data over here. But it's basically about it. And let me now show you. By the way, you can see some tools over here as well. Kubectl, you can there you go. Awesome, right? This is a kubeconfig file, as you can see over here. Very nice. Cool. So as you can see, lots to do, lots to explore in this. We're going to require much more than a video. I'm going to right now show you how to work with like cloud providers in it. So how to spin it up in like Civo, and then we'll explore a little bit more, and then I'll show you basically what we're going to do in like the future videos. Cool. Let's get started with the Civo part. So I'm going to stop this one. Just gonna disconnect Minikube, and that's looking good. That's fine. What I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna create a cluster in Civo. That's what I'm gonna do. And here we can see that I can just say KubeSphere Civo. 2 instances, so that's fine. Existing firewall all open. If you're using your own firewalls, then you can go in the settings part, in the manage part, in the under firewalls. There you can open some of the ports, right? And minimum CPU requirements is like 2 cores or something. I think this should be more than enough. For the CNI, I'm going to select Cilium. And now you tell me, under which category would KubeSphere come? For application management, right? I hope it's clear what this particular product is available for, like the use cases. I spent a bunch of time in the starting of this video about, like the use cases. Obviously, it will make more sense when I do it like hands-on. But I hope when I gave you the overall picture with this UI as well, you were able to understand what all things we can do, right? So where would it be? Obviously in the management section. That's correct. And here you can see this is KubeSphere, right? And create cluster. It's going to take around 60 seconds or 90 seconds or something, and your cluster will be created. Okay, and this is what I was mentioning previously. By the time the cluster is creating, you can see the port requirements in the documentation part. That these are the ports that it requires, for you to allow, right? So make sure that that is available. And that's done. Took around 60 seconds or something. I'm going to download the kubeconfig file. I'm going to see it over here in my Lens dashboard. And also this is the external IP that you're going to use, to connect to the web console. So like I showed you on the local host for Minikube, this is what you'll be using to access the KubeSphere dashboard on the port number 30880 when you're working with a cloud provider, right? So in this case Civo, so I'm going to use this external IP address. So let me just connect my over here. I'm just going to drop in my kubeconfig file. Okay, I'm just going to paste this, add cluster, and I'm going to connect with it. KubeSphere Civo. Awesome. All right, I'm going to go like overview. It's going to be, working on some stuff. That's fine. Let's, give it time. And if you want to see the real-time logs, again, you can go to terminal, and can paste that particular same command. And here it will give me like the logs and stuff. Right, so the same stuff will be happening now, like it happened in the Minikube part. Here it will also be creating some services and setting all things up for us. After this is done, I can just go to this particular URL, this particular address, and I can go to the external IP and the port number 30880, and then I can use the same admin and password that was available like by default. It will just work like a charm. I'll show you in just a minute. So let this be completed. Okay, so here you can see that all the tasks have been completed. It took relatively quicker as compared to when we did previously on Minikube, obviously because we're using high optimized like cloud providers and stuff. And the same thing, as it it happened before, right? So you can see that these are things that we already did. So you can go over here and so that's basically about it. But we're gonna test out using the external IP, and I'm gonna go to port number. I'm going to go to my port number 30880. That is correct. There we go. We have it over here, right? Same thing as before. I'm going to say admin and my password will be this thing. That's fine. I'm just going to copy paste this. Login. Not now. I'll modify it later on. There we go. Now we have it running in Civo. Exactly the same thing. Cool. So as I mentioned previously, some cluster management tools, it provides you access control for your organization. It provides that. You can go to like customize the platform settings as well, like notifications and everything, right? But we'll be doing individual videos on this. So an individual video, a dedicated video will be coming on cluster management, how you can use multi-cluster management with KubeSphere, the KubeSphere function, and that is something we'll be seeing in the next video. And after that video, the third one will be on like some CI/CD pipelines and stuff, like using it with Argo or whatever, and like Jenkins or Circle CI or whatever you want to use. We can work with that. We'll work with it, right? So if I go to my cluster management, you want to see information about my Kubernetes cluster. So there we go. The percentage of CPU used, memory used, and the pods and everything, and it has been given over here, right? You can go to the kubectl and log into the shell over here. That will be pretty straightforward. There you go. Nice. Exactly like before, right? You can check out the cluster nodes. I have 2 nodes running. That is correct. If I go to my Civo dashboard, there I have the same U557i, U557i. This is what I was saying in the beginning of the video. One place to manage everything related to your cluster, right? It's pretty amazing. Okay, you can set up monitoring and alerting as well. Check out your cluster status, nodes online status 2, and you can get all the information, even physical resource monitoring. As you can see, average CPU load. So everything is available over here. Cool. Right? Custom monitoring and cluster settings. Every information has been given over here. So that is basically what I meant, and I showed you access management and everything in the previous example. But that is pretty much about it. And you can join the I'll highly recommend you to check out the GitHub repository. I recommend you to check out the Twitter of KubeSphere. Right? So give them a follow and do for staying up to date about the new features and tools, and share your feedback as well. You can also take like a screenshot if you have and share your that you learned it and share it on like socials and tag KubeSphere, tag me, join the Learning in Public initiative. So there are endless possibilities, right? When we're learning about these tools, you can give feedback to the team, right? So if you go to over here about, you can join the Slack channel and give your feedback to the team, and you can take a screenshot, something like that, and you can share it, and you can write a blog about it, right? We can do so many things. As a next step, I just recommend check out the playlist below and check out the documentation. Try out these various things. If you already are already know a lot more about like cloud native tools and stuff, then I don't have to tell you. You can definitely explore it on your own. Check out some pipelines and all the other features it has to offer. Obviously we'll be doing like multi-cluster management next, and then we'll be doing like some CI/CD pipelines and stuff as well. But that's pretty much about it. All the links I'll be leaving in the description below, and here you can star the repository and suggest some feedback or changes. You can even check out the open issues. If you want to contribute to open source, there's some good first issues over here, right? There's some good first issues over here. They also took part, I believe, in Hacktoberfest, so I believe like this is pretty cool. And as always, I've mentioned made videos about contributing to open source, like you can join their Slack channel and you can ask questions over there. But yeah, learn in public, and thanks a lot for watching. Indeed a great tool, and I'm going to explore it much more and share with everyone on this channel. And thanks a lot for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Have a great day.